Okay, good afternoon. We are streaming live via YouTube. My name is Judge Tamika West Bernard, and we will be conducting our last hearing of the day for the preliminary hearing calendar. The last case we have on the calendar is the State of Georgia versus Keith Allen Jones, warrant number 2023 WA03029, use or possession of drug-related items is the charge. The second charge is warrant number 2023 WA03030. The charge is theft by receiving stolen property. The third charge, warrant number 2023 WA03031 for the charge of false imprisonment. That concludes the charges against defendant Jones. The state of Georgia is represented by ADA Cheryl Freeman. The defendant is represented by attorney Tiffany Pleasant. ADA Freeman, please call your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just want to make sure that the defendant is there. Okay. In jail, you can place yourself on mute.
And for the record, the defendant is appearing via live, via Zoom at the Clayton County Jail.
Thank you. Officer House, would you raise your right hand, please? And you can unmute yourself. You swear and affirm that the testimony about to provide in the matter of State of Georgia versus Keith Jones will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
You can lower your hand. Please tell us your name and how you're employed.
My name is Sergeant John House. Employed with the Clayton County Sheriff's Office.
And Sergeant, how long have you worked with the Clayton County Police Department?
I worked for the Clayton County Sheriff's Office since 2020.
Sorry about that. And were you working with the Clayton County Sheriff's Office on February 4th of 2023?
I was.
On that particular day, did you have occasion to approach what you believe to be a suspicious vehicle?
I did.
Please tell us, what about the vehicle that you observed that you believe was suspicious?
So it's parked in the back lot of a hotel that's known for drug trafficking. When I drove around the corner, all the occupants in the vehicle, originally they were speaking with each other. They snapped their heads forward, stared straight ahead. Once they noticed me in my marked patrol vehicle, and they began speaking to each other again, but they weren't looking at each other. They were looking ahead, talking to each other.
Do you recall how many people were inside of that vehicle?
There were 3 people in the vehicle when I saw it.
Were you able to identify those people?
I was. One of them, the driver, was Mickey Miller. The back driver's side passenger was Eugene Tucker Jr. and Jeannie Holt was in the front passenger seat.
Were you able to speak to the individuals?
I did.
What did they tell you what was going on there?
Well, I'll have to refer to my report if you'll give me a moment.
Well, specifically, were you able to speak to Mr. Keith Jones?
So not at that time. While I was speaking with the occupants, they said Keith Jones had went into one of the hotel rooms when he saw me coming around the corner.
When you learned that,
You're breaking up. I couldn't understand the question.
I'm sorry. When you got that information, were you able to go and speak to Mr. Jones?
Not at first. Mr. Jones refused to come out of the hotel room for the better half of an hour or so. Can you repeat that? You broke up again.
Okay. How were you able to get Jones out of the hotel room?
So a friend of one of the occupants in the room, her name's Heather. A friend of her pulled up to the room to pick her up. And she was saying over that person's phone, Heather was saying that she couldn't come out of the room because Keith wouldn't let her open the door and was physically blocking her. Eventually, he came out on his own.
When he came out on his own, were you able to speak to the young lady who was inside and indicated that she couldn't?
Yes, I spoke with Heather.
What did Heather?
Repeat that, you broke up again.
What did
Really
Heather
bad.
say? And what?
Heather told me that Keith was physically blocking her from leaving the room and said he didn't want to go to jail. And he verbally told her that she couldn't open the door about 5 times.
Was the door that Mr. Jones finally opened, was that the only way to exit that room?
That is the only way to exit that room.
Did you ask him?
I didn't hear that question. It broke up again.
Did you, Mr. Jones, why he didn't leave the room?
Did I ask him why he didn't leave the room?
Why he didn't leave the room?
He told me he was afraid. He didn't leave the room because he was scared.
I don't believe you heard your question, Carol.
Did you ask Mr. Jones why he didn't let Heather leave the room?
I did. He said, I asked him that. He said he didn't let her leave the room because he didn't want to go to jail.
You also charged Mr. Jones with a theft by receiving. Can you tell us what the basis for that charge is?
Yeah, so when I spoke with the occupant, they told me he was sitting in the rear passenger side seat. In that seat was a catalytic converter that was cut on both ends. So there's give me 1 second, I'll give you the location. After speaking with Eugene, one of the other occupants, and Mr. Jones both, they said they got picked up with the catalytic converter from the Chevron on Battle Creek and Terra. The dealership that's right next to that Chevron has had several catalytic converters stolen. And Eugene was telling me that Jones had that catalytic converter in a bag when they got in the car. That's how I placed the ownership with him.
The bag that the catalytic converter was found, did it have anything else in the bag?
Yeah, in the bag was a glass smoking device used for narcotics.
Did it have any identifying information inside the bag?
I'll refer to my report just to make sure, but I don't remember there being any. No, I don't remember. I don't think there was any identifying information in the bag.
Did you ask Mr. Jones about the catalytic converter?
I did.
What did he say about the catalytic converter?
He told me he bought it from somebody.
Able to give you his name?
I think he did, but I couldn't find the person on any of our information systems. And I don't remember the name he gave me.
You stated that there was a car dealership next door to that hotel that had a lot of thefts of catalytic converters.
Yes, ma'am.
Able to determine whether that catalytic converter came from that?
I don't. Typically, the catalytic converters, to my knowledge, don't have any, they're not serialized or have any VIN numbers. I'm not sure how to tie it to a specific vehicle.
The pipe that was located in the bag with a catalytic converter. On your training and your experience, what pipe for?
My training and experience, what?
What was that pipe that was located in the bag with the catalytic converter? What is that pipe used for?
Well, it has burn marks on both ends of it, and based on the type of pipe it was, it's typically used for either methamphetamine or crack cocaine.
Is it used for ingesting those items?
It is.
Did all of this take place in Clayton County?
It did.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
And 30 plus in your witness.
Thank you. Sergeant House,
ma'am.
did you ask my client any questions with regards to the pipe that you're saying was in the bag with the converter?
I did ask if it was his pipe. He denied ownership of it.
Okay. And who specifically said that bag belonged to him, to Mr. Jones?
Everyone in the vehicle said it was Mr. Jones' bag.
Were you able to determine any relationships to the people in that car to Mr. Jones?
I believe Miss Jeannie said that they were cousins. Other than that,
So Mr. Jones is the only person charged with possessing the catalytic converter.
yes, ma'am.
And what information do you recall that he gave you with regards to the catalytic converter?
Not a lot. He just told me he denied ownership of it and told me that he bought it from somebody. And he did give me the person's name, but he didn't know any other identifying information, so I couldn't find that person on any law enforcement intelligence.
So you're saying he gave you two different stories?
He did.
Okay. So initially he denied ownership and then he gave you a name?
Right.
All right. So are your conversations with my client, do you wear a body worn camera? Are they recorded in any way?
They're not recorded.
Were there any other law enforcement officers or witnesses present with you?
Yes, ma'am, there were.
And did you receive a written statement from the individual that you identified as Heather?
Heather provided a voice recording statement, and I believe I attached that to the incident report.
And what specifically did she say in her voice recording?
I'd have to go back and listen to it. It was what I put in the report, that she wanted to file charges because he physically blocked her from leaving the room and told her on 5 separate occasions not to open the door.
Okay, but she expressed that she wanted to file charges in the
She did.
report statement.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, any other witness, ADA Freeman?
No, Your Honor, the state rests.
Okay, Attorney Pleasant, any witnesses?
No, Your Honor, defense rests and will submit.
Okay. Okay, with that said, I do find sufficient probable cause to bind over all charges against Keith Allen Jones to the Superior Court of Clayton County. That will be the order of the court, and that will conclude your hearing for your preliminary hearing for today, Mr. Jones. Thank you.
Thank you. Excuse.
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Sergeant.
Thank you.